Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week. And if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. Today I'll be teaching how to make a basket weave dress. Was in a festive mood recently that got me thinking of holiday dresses. One thing led to another and we landed here. A rustic cottagecore-esque dress, perfect for the holiday scuttlebutt. Speaking of, whether you're in the holiday spirit or just in a gift-giving mood, you're in the right place. We have hundreds of modern crochet designs perfect for gift-giving and patterns you won't find anywhere else, including new patterns weekly, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now, it's time to get on the show, so without further ado, for this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 1,250 grams of yarn, and that's about 1,900 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us if you sleep with a stuffed animal. I do. I sleep with a very soft penguin muff to keep my hands warm, and its name is Pigeon. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This tutorial is for size small, but you can adjust it for your size and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this dress started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Next, we're all going to grab our 5mm hook and start off by making a chain the height that we'd like for our waistband to be. I'd like for mine to be just about 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 8. Now that we have our chain, we're going to do our first slip stitch row. So block off that last chain and do a chain 1. From here, we're going to slip stitch into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook. So we're going to insert, then gently yarn over and pull through everything on our hook. Let's do that again. Into that following chain, insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through everything. And continue with 1 slip stitch into every chain, making sure that we're not tugging too tightly after every stitch, otherwise the following row could be a little too tight to work into. Our row 1 is finished. Right after our row 1, we're all going to chain 1 and flip our work. We're now going to be working more slip stitches, but now within the back loops to get some really pretty ribbing and a good stretch. So finding the last stitch from our previous row, we're going to insert our hook in through that back loop, yarn over, pull through everything on our hook. Again, into that next stitch's back loop, you're going to insert, yarn over, and again gently pull through everything. And we're going to continue with 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch to reach the end of the row. And that's basically it. For this waistband, all we're going to do at the end of the row is chain 1, flip our work, and put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch, and we will not be having any increases or decreases. So we're going to continue to repeat our previous row until our work can stretch, making sure that we're stretching as if we're wearing it because it does have a decent amount of stretch to it, until it can stretch around the widest part of our chest. Now the amount of rows that we end up with, it does need to end in multiples of 3 that ends in an odd number. But when we have the length all finished up, I will meet you back. I am back with the width of my waistband. I have a total of 111 rows, and this width is just about 18.5 inches or 47 centimeters, and that is unstretched because remember it does have a decent amount of stretch to it. Now from here we're going to seam everything together. So let's fold our waistband in half, sandwiching the 2 edges together. So now that our waistband is folded in half, we do want to make sure that it is not twisted in any way, and we're going to insert our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. From here, we're going to yarn over and pull through everything on our hook, and now we're going to do an outside loop slip stitch seam. So let's all start by finding that first stitch into the front panel, and we're going to insert our hook only in through that front loop. Find that next stitch into the back panel and insert only in through that back loop. Then when we have those 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3. And again, into that next stitch into the front panel, insert your hook. Next stitch into the back panel, insert in through that back loop, and pull through all 3 loops. And we're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. So now that our waistband is all seamed together, we're now going to do a single crochet row so we can get started on the top half. So right after our seam, we're all going to chain 1, and we're going to work along the edge of our waistband, putting 1 single crochet into every side row. So just to do the first view, this is my first side row right here. I'm going to find that top loop and insert my hook. From there, I'm going to single crochet. Again, this raised row is my following side row. So I'm going to find that top loop, insert my hook with another single crochet. And that's it. We're going to continue putting 1 single crochet into every side row. Let's just do one more set together. This divot is my following side row. I'm going to find that top loop, insert, and single. And this raised row is my following side row, so insert and single. Continue with our single crochet row, and as a really quick tip, we should have the same amount of single crochets as side rows that we made for our waistband. Now this single crochet row is going to be as wide as this band can stretch. So once when we slip stitch into that chain space when the single crochet row is done, just try on our waistband and make sure that it can still fit over the widest part of our bust, because we are going to need to put it on once we're done. But if it's a little bit too tight, redo some stitches with a looser grip, or if it's too loose, redo some stitches with a tighter grip. So our single crochet row along the top of our waistband is finished. Now we're going to get started on the top portion of our dress, and our first row is going to be a half double crochet row. So we should have all slip stitched into that chain space when we got started on our previous row. What we're going to do from here is chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, we just need the height. And now we're going to be putting 1 half double crochet into every stitch. So pretty simple, we're all going to yarn over, preparing for a half double. We're going to insert our hook into that first stitch, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That is our, there we go, half double crochet. Let's do this again. Yarn over into that next stitch, insert, pull through, and pull through all 3. That's it. We're going to continue with 1 half double crochet into every stitch. And a quick tip, for this row, we should have the same amount of stitches as rows that we made for our waistband, again, just like our previous single crochet row. So we have made our way all the way around with our half double crochet row. Our half double crochet row is going to count as our first row when it comes to the top, so we are not going to be counting that single crochet row. What we're going to do from here is get started on our basket weave stitch. So to connect our row 1, we're going to want to slip stitch into that second chain that we made when we started this row. So we're all going to start by counting up 1, 2. Into that second chain that we made, we're going to insert our hook with a slip stitch, and now our row 1 is connected. So let's get started on our row 2, or our first basket weave row. So we're all going to chain 2, and we're going to start with our 3 front post double crochets. So our basket weave section is going to be worked in 3 stitches. It's going to be 3 front post, 3 back post, and then repeat. So what we're going to do is yarn over, preparing for a front post double crochet. We're all going to start by finding that first half double crochet from our previous row, making sure that we are not counting that chain 2. So we're going to bring our hook down and underneath the body of that half double crochet. So bring your hook underneath, through the other side. We're all going to yarn over, pull through. We're going to pull up tall, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is our first front post double crochet. Let's do this again. Yarn over. Finding our following half double crochet from our previous row, insert your hook underneath one side of that half double crochet, and bring your hook through the other side. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through. We should all have 3 loops on our hook. When we have 3, we're going to pull up tall to get the same height as the chain 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. And like I said, they're worked in sets of 3. So let's do our last front post double crochet for this set. So yarn over. Find that following half double crochet. Bring your hook underneath the body of that half double. through the other side. Yarn over, pull through, pull up nice and tall, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now we should all have 3 front post double crochets. Now let's do our 3 back post double crochets. We're all going to start with a yarn over. We're now going to bring our hook down and underneath our work, and we're going to bring our hook over that following half double crochet. So bring your hook underneath, in through that next gap, over that following half double crochet, and through the other side. This is what the top should look like. And what we're going to do from here is yarn over, pull through to get 3 loops on our hook again. And just like with our front post, when we have 3 loops, we're going to pull up tall, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is our first back post. Let's do another one. Yarn over, bring your hook underneath your work, over that following available half double crochet that we have, and through the other side. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we have one more back post double to do, so yarn over. Bring your hook underneath, in through that gap, and over that following available half double crochet. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So altogether we should have 3 front post double crochets and 3 back post double crochets, or 2 sets. Let's do our next 2 sets together, and then it's going to be a repeat of these sets, making our way all the way around. So right after our 3 back post double crochets, they're going to be 3 front post double crochets. So yarn over. We're going to find that next available half double crochet from our previous row, and to do our front post, we're going to bring our hook underneath the body of that half double and through the other side. Yarn over, pull through tall, pull through 2, pull through 2. Another one, yarn over, underneath that following half double, through the other side, pull through, pull up tall, pull through 2, pull through 2, and they're worked in sets of 3, so we have one more left to do, so yarn over. Underneath that following half double, insert and through the other side, pull through, pull up tall, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now to do our set of 3 back post double crochets, we're all going to yarn over, bring our hook underneath our work, and over that following available half double crochet. So in between, over that next half double, through the other side, pull through, pull up tall, pull through 2, pull through 2. We have 2 more left to do, so yarn over, underneath our work, over that next half double and through the other side, pull through, pull up tall, pull through 2, pull through 2, and one more back post, so yarn over. Bring your hook underneath, over that next half double, through the other side, pull through, pull up tall, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Now all together we should have 3 front posts, 3 back posts, 3 front posts, 3 back posts, or 1, 2, 3, 4 sets all together. We're going to continue doing this, making our way all the way around, and the last set that we should have should be 3 front post double crochets into the last 3 stitches. Then I'll meet you back to connect this row and to work our way up to the following row. We have made our way all the way around with our row 2. Now just to make sure that everyone is on the same page no matter what size we're making, our first set and our last set should be front post double crochets if our work is flipped right side out. Now what we're going to do from here is slip stitch into that second chain that we made when we got started on this row. So we're going to count up 1, count up 2, into that second chain we're going to insert with a slip stitch, and our row 2 is now finished. Now getting started on our row 3, we're going to chain 2, and for this portion of our piece we are not going to be flipping our work after every row. We're going to continue working in the same direction as our previous row. Now since we're working on our row 3, every odd number row is going to be an extension of our previous row's stitches. So since everyone's first set of stitches should be front post double crochets, to extend it we will be doing front post double crochets. So let's all yarn over. Let's find that first stitch from our previous row, insert, and bring our hook through the other side and do our first front post double crochet. We should be experts at this by now. And they're still worked in sets of 3, so we're going to be doing 2 more. So here is my second front post double crochet, and here is my third front post double crochet. Now, like I said, for every odd number row, we're going to be extending our previous row stitches. So since our previous row stitches look like 3 back posts, we will now all be doing 3 back post double crochets. So yarn over. Just through the first set, we're going to find that following back post double crochet, bring our hook through the other side, pull through, pull up tall, pull through 2, pull through 2, and we should all have 2 more left to do. So bring our hook underneath, pull through 2, pull through 2, and we should all have 1 more left, so yarn over. Underneath, through the other side, pull through, pull up tall, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now we're going to continue to extend our previous row stitches, making our way all the way around. We have made our way all the way around with our row 3, and we have also slip stitched into our second chain to close off our row. Now let's get started on our row 4, so we're going to chain 2. Now when it comes to doing our even number rows, we're now going to be doing the opposite from what our previous rows look like. So for every size, since our first set looks like 3 front posts, we're now going to be doing 3 back post double crochets. So after our chain 2, we're going to yarn over. We're going to find that first stitch from our previous row and insert underneath through the other side with our first back post double crochet. And they're still worked in sets of 3, so we have 2 more left to do. So yarn over, underneath, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2, and 1 more. And now that we all have our 3 back posts, we're now going to be doing 3 front posts because our following set looks like 3 back posts. So to do our 3 front posts, we're all going to yarn over, find that first stitch in the set, pull through, pull up tall, pull through 2, and we have 2 more left. So there's our following front post, and here's our last front post double crochet for this set. Now to finish up our row 4, continue to do the opposite from what our previous row stitches look like. Make your way all the way around and slip stitch into that second chain. Our row 4 is now finished. Now we're going to get started on our row 5. And like I said in one of our previous clips, each of our odd number rows is just going to be an extension of our previous row stitches. So right after we have slip stitch into that second chain, we're all going to chain 2, and working in the same direction that we have been working into, we're going to extend our previous row stitches. So for every size, our first set should be 3 back post double crochets. So we will now all be doing 3 back post double crochets. And again, everyone's next set of stitches should be front post double crochets. So now we are going to be doing 3 front post double crochets. And from now, we're going to continue to extend our previous row stitches, making our way all the way around, and then slip stitch into that second chain. So I am back, and our row 5 is completely finished. From here, we're going to continue to repeat rows 2 through 5 until we get the height of this first portion for our top panel finished. Now this is going to be the base of our cup. So this is going to be where the point of our cups meet. So the higher you repeat these rows, the more chest coverage you're going to have. We all want to make sure that we're meeting back right after we finish our row 5, and then we can meet back to get started on our cup. So we are back and we have just finished up the base of our cup. Now, like I said, I just needed a total of 5 rows for the base, and now we're ready to get started on our cups. Now, first things first, we are all going to need to find our middle set. We are all going to have just one middle set, since in total we should all have an odd number of sets, and that set is going to be a back post double crochet set. Now what we're going to do from there is into the 2 stitches that we have on either side of our set, and they are going to be front post double crochets, we're just going to insert our hook into those last stitches that we have that's nearest to the middle, so that we know where the middle is. So what we're going to do from here is insert our second stitch marker where we want the base of our cup to be. Now we do need to insert our stitch marker into a set that is an odd number of sets away from our middle set. So just as an example, this is my first set right here, which is where my middle is. I inserted my stitch marker into my 7th set away, and it should be a front post double crochet set. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I inserted my stitch marker into the last stitch of that 7th set, and like I said, it should be a front post double crochet, and we're going to be doing the same thing on the other side. So just to count that out together, starting from my middle stitch marker, here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and I inserted my stitch marker into the last stitch from that set as well. And for those of you that have my numbers, from my middle stitch marker over to my side stitch marker is a total of 6 inches or 15 centimeters. But once we have that all finished up, we can get started on one of our cups. So we're going to insert our same 5mm hook into the middle stitch that we have, into that middle set. So this is my middle set right here. I'm going to find my middle stitch, which this is my middle stitch. I'm going to insert my hook, and now I'm going to insert my yarn onto my hook. Insert my yarn, and pull through. And now we're all going to do a chain 2. Now that chain 2 does not count as a stitch, we just need the height. And we're going to start our cup with a decrease of 2 half double crochets. So we're all going to yarn over into that same stitch that our chain 2 is in. We're going to insert our hook, pull through, and then we're going to insert our hook into that following stitch as well. Insert, pull through for a total of 4 loops on our hook. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through all 4. Now the first and last sets should be the same for everyone. Just the amount of sets that we're going to have in between is going to be different, depending on where you inserted your stitch markers. So everyone's first set from our previous row should be 3 front post double crochets. So we are now going to be doing 3 back post double crochets because we are getting started on an even number row. So yarn over, find that first stitch from our previous row, which should be our stitch marker stitch, and do a regular back post double crochet. And remember, they're still worked in sets of 3, so we're going to be doing 3 of those. And our following set should look like 3 back posts, so I will now be doing 3 front posts. And now from here, we're going to continue to do the opposite from what our previous stitches look like until our last set is worked into our stitch marker set that we have right over here. So I've made my way all the way down until my last set is worked into my stitch marker set right over here. We should all have an odd number of sets finished for those of you that have my numbers. We aren't going to count that chain 2 as anything, but I have a total of 7 sets. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right after that last set, the last stitch in this row is going to be a decrease of 2 half double crochets. So we're all going to yarn over, and finding that next stitch, we're going to insert our hook, pull through, and into that following stitch, insert, pull through for 4 loops on our hook. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through all 4. And that's that. Our next row, to get started on our following row or our second cup row, we're going to chain 2 and flip our work. Now for our cups, we're always going to be doing a decrease of 2 half double crochets into the beginning and into the end of every row. So let's get this row started. We're all going to yarn over, insert our hook into the last stitch from our previous row, pull through into that following stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 4. And now from here, we're going to do our following odd number row. And if you guys remember, each of our odd number rows is going to be extending our previous row stitches. So we just took away our first 2 stitches for our decrease. And the first 2 stitches was the top of our previous decrease and this post double crochet. We're going to find the following 2 stitches and extend those stitches. So for everyone, it should be 2 front post double crochets. So yarn over, find that following stitch, insert, pull through 2, pull through 2, and we have another front post double crochet. So insert, pull through 2, pull through 2. And from here, we're going to continue to extend our previous row stitches. So the next set for everyone should be 3 back posts, 3 front posts, and so on and so forth until we reach this full set that we have right before a decrease. So I've made my way all the way down with my second cup row. We have extended our previous row stitches until we have 1 full set left. Now for everyone, that last full set should be 3 front post double crochets. So since we're extending our previous row stitches, we're going to continue on with this set until we have 2 stitches left. And just as a quick tip, the end of our rows are going to mirror the beginning of our rows. So since we had 2 front post double crochets here. We're going to double check and see that we have 2 front post double crochets to do before we have our last 2 stitches in the row left. So it looks like we're doing pretty good. So we're all going to yarn over, find that first stitch from our last set and do a front post double crochet. Find that second stitch from our set and do our next front post double crochet. And we should all have 2 stitches left. Now we're going to do a decrease of 2 half double crochets. So yarn over, into that second to last, pull through, into that last, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 4. Our row 2 for our cup is finished. Now let's get started on our row 3, so chain 2 and flip your work. Now I think we're all getting the hang of this. So we're basically just starting and ending our row with a decrease of 2 half double crochets and just taking away 1 stitch from the first and last set that we have. So let's get this falling row started. Since this is an even number row, we're all going to start our row with a decrease of 2 half double crochets. And now that our decrease is finished, since we just took away that last stitch from our previous row, which was our decrease, and that following stitch, we have 1 more stitch left here before we get started on our next full set. So since that stitch looks like a back post and we're working on an even number row, we're going to be doing the opposite. So now we're going to do 1 front post double crochet into that 1 stitch. This should be the same for every size. And now that is finished. We have our first full set right here. So we're going to continue to do the opposite from what our previous set looks like until we are worked into that last full set. So we have just finished up our sets and we have worked into that last full set. So for everyone, we should have just done 3 back post double crochets. So to finish off this row, we should all have 1, 2, 3 stitches left. And now we're going to do our 1 front post double crochet and then our decrease of 2. And just to double check, it does match the beginning of this row. So we're going to yarn over, do our front post double crochet, and then a decrease of 2 half double crochets. Now that we have our first 1, 2, 3 rows for our cup finished, let's do the following row. So chain 2 and flip your work. Now just to do this row really quickly, then I'll let you guys do the rest on your own. We're going to start this row with a decrease of 2 half double crochets. Now right after that decrease, our following set of stitches is a full set, and we're going to continue on with the sequence, which this should be an odd number row, so we're now going to extend our previous row stitches. So for everyone, this looks like 3 front post double crochets, so now we're going to be doing 3 front posts. And continue to extend our previous row stitches, making our way all the way down. So I've just made my way all the way down with our sets, and closed off our row with a decrease of 2 half double crochets. Now from here, we're just going to continue on with the sequence, making our way all the way up until the last row that we have has 3 stitches. So as a refresher, we're going to be doing a decrease of 2 half double crochets into the beginning and into the end of every row. And we're going to be taking away 1 stitch from the edge sets. And we're going to decrease just like that, keeping in mind that we are still keeping the base rule for our basket weave stitch the same. So for every even number row, we're going to be doing the opposite from what our previous row stitches look like. Or if we're working on an odd number row, we're going to be extending our previous row stitches. Continue to do our decreases until we have a total of 3 stitches left, and then I will meet you back. All right, so we are back, and we should all have our last row for our cup. We should all have 1, 2, 3 stitches, and now we're going to do 1 more row, then our strap. So from here, what we're going to do is chain 2 and flip our work. Now for everyone's last row, we're going to do a decrease of 2 half double crochets, and then since we'll all just have 1 stitch left, 1 half double crochet into that last. So yarn over, insert pull through into that next stitch, insert pull through all 4, and then half double crochet into that last stitch. So now for our last row for our cup, we should all have 1, 2 stitches left. Now right after our last cup row, we're now going to make a chain that reaches all the way up and over our shoulder and reaches the back panel right where we want our strap to connect. So this part is going to be completely up to you. Right before we get started on making our chain, you're going to insert your stitch marker into any stitch. So you can have it connect closer to the seam, further out, crisscross, whatever you guys want. So we're all going to make sure that our work is flipped right side out. And by right side out, I'm meaning the back loop slip stitch seam that we did for the waistband is along the outside. I wanted my strap to be straight up and over, so I inserted my stitch marker into the 9th stitch away from my tail end, so I am looking at my back right now. And I did the same thing on the other side because I did want the other side to match. And from the tail end to my stitch marker, that's just about 2.5 inches or 7 centimeters from tail end to stitch marker. Now from here, we're going to make our chain from the top of our cup that reaches up and over our shoulder, that reaches our stitch marker. Now I need roughly 9.5 inches or 24 centimeters, so I'm going to make a chain 40. So now that we have our chain, we are going to slip stitch it into that stitch marker stitch that we have along the back. So I'm going to start by inserting my hook into that stitch marker stitch. So I'm going to insert, yarn over, and pull through everything on our hook. Now from here, we're going to single crochet all the way back to get a sturdier strap. Now this is going to be completely up to you. It's going to be done pretty much the same way, but the next slip stitch that we're going to do may be a little bit different for everyone. So right before we do our slip stitch into the back to work our way up to the following row, we're going to take a look at the front panel. We're going to determine which side that extra stitch is along the top, and then we're going to slip stitch in that direction. So since I'm looking at the top of my piece right now, as you guys can see, this empty space is my available stitch, and that is to my left. So from where I'm at, I'm going to slip stitch to my left and then single crochet down my chain. If yours is to the right, that's completely fine as well. Just slip stitch to your right and then put 1 single crochet into every stitch. And we're just doing it this way so that our strap doesn't get twisted. So all I am going to do is slip stitch into my next stitch on the left side. So I'm going to insert, pull through everything, flip my work, and then put 1 single crochet into every chain. I'll meet you back when we don't have any more chains left to work into. Alright, so now that I have single crocheted my way all the way down my chain, so we should all have our 2 available stitches on the top of our cup. So all we're going to do is slip stitch into that available stitch, yarn over, pull through everything with a slip stitch, then we're going to do a chain up of 1 and cut. So one of our cups is all finished. We're now going to repeat everything that we just did here on the other side, and when I say repeat, it's going to be done exactly the same way. We're just going to be inserting our hook into the right side of our outside stitch marker stitch. So I'm just going to do that with you and let you guys repeat everything else on your own. So getting started on our second cup, we are going to make sure the work is still flipped right side out. So we're all going to start by finding our outside stitch for our right cup, and then we're going to count to the right 2 stitches. Here's 1, here's 2. Into that second stitch, go ahead and insert your hook, insert your yarn onto your hook, pull through, and do a chain 2. That chain 2, remember, does not count as a stitch, and we're going to do a decrease of 2 half double crochets. So yarn over into that chain 2 stitch, pull through, into that following stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 4. That is our decrease of 2 half double crochets. And now we're going to get started on this row. So it's going to be 3 front posts, 3 back posts, making sure that we end every row with a decrease of 2 half double crochets. Get the entirety of this cup and strap all finished, and then I'll meet you back to work on the length of our dress. Alright, so we are back, and the entirety of our top portion of our dress is all finished. Now that we have this, we're going to get started on the dress length. So we're going to make sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up, and we're going to flip our work upside down because we're going to be single crocheting across the bottom of our waistband. We're going to insert our hook into any one of the side rows that we have along the bottom of our waistband. Insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Now from here, all we're going to do is put 1 single crochet into every side row. So since we already know how to do this, let's just do the first set. My first side row that I have right here is this raised row, so I'm going to find that top loop, insert my hook into there with 1 single crochet. This is my following side row, which is this divot. Find that top loop and single crochet again. And that's it. Continue with 1 single crochet into every side row, then slip stitch into that chain space. So now that our single crochet row is all finished up, we're now going to get started on the length of our dress. So from here, right after we slip stitch into that chain space, we're all going to make the chain the length that we like for our dress to be. So you can make this as long or as short as you like, but I'd like for mine to be roughly knee length. So I need a total of 20 inches or 51 centimeters. So I made a chain of 85. Now that we have our chain, we're going to do a half double crochet row. So block off that last chain and do a chain 2. That chain 2 does not count as a stitch. That's our turning chain. And all we're going to do is into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook, insert with a half double crochet, and put 1 half double crochet into every chain. So we've made our way all the way up with our half double crochets, putting 1 into every chain, and now we're going to connect it into the base. So what we're going to do is find that next stitch into the base and slip stitch it into there to close off this first row. Then we got to work our way up to the following row. So into that following stitch into the base, we're going to insert our hook into there with another slip stitch. Now those 2 slip stitches into the base don't count as stitches. We just needed to work our way up to the following row, and we're going to flip our work. And now that our work is flipped, we're going to yarn over, preparing for a back loop half double crochet. And all we're going to do is find that last stitch from our previous row, so not those slip stitches into the base, and we're going to insert our hook into that back loop. Then yarn over, pull through, then yarn over, pull through all 3. There's our first back loop half double. Let's do that again. Yarn over, find that last stitch from our previous row, insert, pull through all 3, and that's it. Put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. At the end of the row, chain 2, flip our work, and make your way back up, putting 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch again, and I'll meet you back at the base to connect it once more. So we are back, and we have our first 1, 2, 3 rows for our dress nearly finished. Our third row was 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, and now we're going to connect it into the base together. So since we want our skirt to ruffle out just a little bit, what we're going to do when we're connecting it into the base is we're going to start by finding the stitch that our previous row was worked into. So as you guys can see, this is the stitch that my previous row was worked into. We're going to slip stitch into that stitch. So into that occupied stitch, we're going to insert, pull through everything on our hook, and that is how we're going to connect each of our odd number rows. So always slip stitching it into the same stitch that our previous row was worked into. Then to work our way up to the following row, we're going to find that next available stitch. So this following stitch isn't going to have a stitch into it, so insert your hook in through there into the base with a slip stitch. Both of those slip stitches still don't count as a stitch. We're going to flip our work and put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, and that's it. We're going to continue to repeat our back loop half double crochet rows with no increases and no decreases, making our way all the way around, making sure that we're connecting it into the base the same way that we just did. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I will meet you back to seam everything together. So I am back, and I have finally made my way all the way around with my back loop half double crochet rows. I don't have any more stitches left to work into the base, so now we're just going to seam it all together. So first things first, let's make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out. Now that our work is flipped wrong side out, we're going to insert our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel, and now we're going to do a single crochet seam. So all we're going to do is pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Now to do our single crochet seam, we're going to be doing a single crochet row that's worked into both the front and the back panel at the same time. So start by finding that first stitch into the front panel, insert your hook, first stitch into the back panel, insert your hook, and single crochet. Let's do this again. First stitch into that next available stitch into the front panel, next available stitch into the back, and single, and that's pretty much it. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut. Alright, so we have just finished up seaming the dress portion, and we are all done. Last thing we're going to have to do is just weave in all of our ends. And there you have it. Hope y'all enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch y'all the next one. Bye!